What is going on? I want to welcome you from half court, or should I say, hey, baby, what's poppin'? I am Sean Murphy, and today I got a special interview treat for you on this Monday. I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to interview Motor City Cruise forward Ryan Turell, aka the player that is trying to become the first Orthodox Jew to play in the National Basketball Association. He was drafted by the Motor City Cruise in the G League draft this past year, and last week wrapped up his first season with the team. I was able to talk with him about that experience, what it was like to adjust to the NBA lifestyle, what it was like living in Detroit, and also what it was like playing with Pistons players at the facility, what it was like being around members of the organization, and what kind of support he's gotten. It was a really great interview. I just want to thank Rare Access and the Pistons organization for allowing me to host this huddle session. If you have any interest of joining these in the future, you can join at Rare Access. You can find them on Twitter at Rare Access as well. I will have links to that in the description as well. But with that, enjoy this interview. Be sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. The more support you show this interview, the more likelihood we have interviews like these. So be sure to show this some love. And with that, here's the interview with Ryan Turell. First of all, welcome everyone to the session. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to say real quick, thank you so much to the people at Rare Access and to the Pistons as well for this awesome opportunity. As a lifelong fan and as someone that covers the team, this is a really cool experience. And also, want to introduce the guy to my right here. He is a certified baller and is aspiring to become the first Orthodox Jew to play in the National Basketball Association. My guy, Ryan Turell. Ryan, thanks so much for being here, man. It's super nice to meet you. You just, everything about you seem like a super nice, humble, gracious person, and just, taking your time, especially in a super busy, important week for the team, to come out and talk to us. Really appreciate it, man.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, Sean. Man, I'm excited to do this. I think this is a really cool thing we're doing, and let's get into it, man.
Yeah, man, let's do it. So let's start at the beginning where it all, good place to start. So tell us about your upbringing. What was your experience with basketball in the early years? What was the moment that you knew I want to be an NBA player?
So, I grew up, in Valley Village, Van Nuys. Sorry, not Valley Village, Van Nuys,
Mhm.
California. It's in the Valley. And I fell in love with the game playing basketball in the front yard. When my older brother was 4 years older than me, and my dad would come out and play, and just kept grinding and playing. It was always fun, and I always loved it. I fell in love with the game at a young age, and I just continued to keep working hard. And you know, when I got to high school, I my whole goal was to play Division 1 basketball, and that was the goal then. And I was fortunate enough to pick up a few offers, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to. When I came down to the realization, it would have been too tough to stay like an Orthodox Jew if I went to play Division 1 basketball. I wouldn't be able to keep Shabbat or kosher or anything, so I decided to go to Yeshiva University. And out of there, I just kept working hard and still loving the game. I was originally trying to play overseas, and I didn't know the NBA was an option or even on the radar. But we went on a 50-game winning streak. We played really well and got the eyes and attention of NBA scouts, and they started coming out to games and scouting and reaching out. And so that was when the NBA dream kind of came alive.
That's awesome, man. What was the point that you realized? Because I know you said during college is when that NBA dream really began. What was the moment where you realized, like, I'm pretty good at this? Like, there's a chance I could play D1. When would that start coming into your head?
Well, I always knew I could play Division 1 basketball. I had offers and whatnot, low major, obviously.
Mhm.
But it wasn't until I guess the summer of my sophomore year of college where I was like, I was training against some NBA guys and high major Division 1 guys, and I was doing well against them. And I was talking to my trainer, shout out Jamal Lavelle, aka Dash, and he's like, "Yo, you really have a shot to be a 3 and D guy in the NBA. You just got to keep working." And it was like, "Oh wow, like I gotta really put in the work now." I put in all the work to get here. Let's keep working and try to attain that dream. And I'm still doing it, and I'm still trying to attain that goal.
That's awesome, man. I know one of the players that you grew up idolizing was Kobe Bryant. When you were that kid shooting hoops in the front yard, who were the players that you were modeling your game after? Who were the players that helped form the game that you are playing today?
Yeah, so it wasn't one specific player. I would
Mhm.
say it was a combination of players. Obviously, at Division three level, I could kind of pick and choose from some of the superstars, right,
Yeah.
in the NBA. But you know, for me trying to play professional basketball, I know that's not going to be my role, and so I knew I had to start watching guys like JJ Redick, Duncan Robinson, you know, guys who can come off screens and whatnot. And then I also like watching defenders, guys like Patrick Beverly and Marcus Smart, to try to learn how to play defense at a high level. So it was it's a combination. It's a combination of a bunch of different players.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you brought up that team at Yeshiva where you guys won over 50 consecutive games. You guys led all, I mean, and you yourself individually led all of college basketball, every single level, and scoring 27 points a game, which, by the way, your coach said that you should have shot more or that you could have shot more. Uh, what were the big leaps that you made in your game throughout college? Like, what were some of the steps that you took in that time that really led to your success?
Um, for me, I got to college. I was 6'6", 150,
Mhm.
155. I was really skinny, and when I left, I was 195.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I had to. So that was probably the biggest jump I've made. I put on muscle, I put on size, which I needed to do to get to the next level. I would say also I used to dip a lot when I shot threes, and
Mhm.
if you watch my sophomore year and freshman year of college, I would bring the ball down real low to generate the power to shoot the shot, and you don't have that kind of time at a professional level.
Right.
So I really tried and worked on it, and got the dip out of my shot where I can catch high, keep high, and so that was also one of the big changes in my game.
Yeah, so you mentioned, like, that, like, some of those adjustments, like, the things that you don't have the time to do when you get to the professional game. I mean, for a lot of guys, jumping from college to the professional game is already a big leap, but when you're going from, like, playing in Division 3 basketball, it's not like you're not playing guys who are super athletic, but the NBA game is a different level, right? So what were some of the instant things that you noticed right when you started playing G League basketball of, "Oh, this is different?"
Yeah, I mean, I would say the first week of training camp, when the coach is like, "Hey, we're trying to get a shot up in the first 6 seconds of the offense. Like we're trying to get down the court, sprint, 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 and get as many shots. Try to score as many points as possible." Um, you know, Division 3 is a very half court, slow, methodical game. Where coaches are kind of playing chess on the sideline, and it's like, okay, what plays they're running? Okay, look at the coach. Or what are we doing? Now at Yeshiva, we didn't run an offense like that. We ran a motion, so we kind of had a little bit of we had freedom, which is good.
Mhm.
But it was a very slow paced game on most nights. But in the pros, it's just up and down, up and down. So it was definitely a speed adjustment. It's the fastest league in the world. You're moving up and down. So getting adjusted to the speed was definitely a challenge. But now that I'm closing the end of my rookie season, I'm well adjusted and I feel ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. How have, your coaches, like the coaching staff for the Crews, like helped you throughout this season? Like DJ Baker, the rest of his staff, like just through one season alone, like what are some of the leaps that you feel like they've been able to help you? Like obviously, I'm sure the game just naturally slows down for you, right? Just as you're getting used to that speed. Or what are some of the other ways you really feel like you've grown went from when you were drafted versus where you're at right now?
I would say defensively, I've grown a lot as a player. When I got here, it was tough. I was coming off a injury. I was out for 5 months. I broke my foot, and so it was definitely tough to really get my rhythm back. But I would say defensively, I've really picked up my game this year, and also getting into the best shape possible. I'm in the best shape I've ever been, and I'm going to continue to try to get into better shape. And Coach Baker says to me, all the time, you're not going to be the most athletic person on the court, the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. You will not be that. But what you can do, you can be the best shape on the court, and that's what you got to do. That's how you get create your competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times you especially see in the NBA as well, like certain players like Nikola Jokic, he's not the fastest guy on the face of the planet, but on the defensive end, a lot of times it comes down to his positioning. He can make plays and do things, even if he's not the quickest guy on the court all the time. But,
Right.
it's about knowing where to be, right? So that's
Right.
definitely a big piece of it. So one thing that we talked about before people started popping in was some of the adjustments that you had to make, coming into the league, but also just, figuring out not only the basketball aspect of things, but the lifestyle adjustment, especially, with practicing your faith and keeping your religion as a very, integral part of your life. And in an interview with Fox Sports, you talked about the time that, the first time that you practiced Shabbat as a professional basketball player. What were some of the things, this season that, you maybe, didn't anticipate, or some of the big, like roller coaster things personally, that were difficult to tackle, and how much has the organization supported you, and how much has that meant to you through your season?
Yeah, I mean, they've been incredibly accommodating. The Troy Weaver, Arn Tellem, the whole Pistons organization, all my coaches, they've been incredibly accommodating and accepting of my religion and what I believe in, and they've helped out. I got to walk the games. I don't use electronics on those days. So let's say the coach has a change of scheduling, that they'll send somebody over to tell me. And so a lot of times I'm staying at a different hotel from the team because I got to be as close as possible to the gym because you never know what the weather may be, or the twists and turns. It may be harder to walk to a place, but they've been incredibly accommodating. And I've had a lot of coaches walk back with me sometimes,
Wow.
from games and whatnot. And it's just been a really cool experience to be able to practice my religion and faith and still play basketball at the highest level.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. One of the things that was integral in the conception of the Motor City Cruise was the idea of them sharing the facility with the Detroit Pistons right downtown at the Henry Ford Health Pistons Performance Center. How have those facilities helped in your development? And what has it been like being in the same building as the Pistons, as those NBA players? I know there's some times maybe during, I know you detailed some times during training camp where you maybe be able to where you're able to face off against some of those guys. Has it been able to be a benefit for you to share that building with those guys?
Oh, absolutely. I'm coming from a D3 school with not a big budget for their sports program. And coming into the Pistons practice facility, it's like going to Disneyland for me. Um, that's what it is. It's really cool. The
It's
facility,
remarkable. It
yeah, the
really is.
facility,
All the pictures are beautiful.
yeah, no, the facilities are insane, and it's really cool to be able to, share the same court as guys that are in the league and living the dream right now, and guys that you want to aspire to be like, and it's just been amazing overall, you know, just developing as a player and really trying to get better this first year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What do you think, just are some of the biggest misconceptions about the G League as a whole? I mean, I think, people, I know like a lot of times people, look at minor league sports, or people might not understand like the level of competition in G League, but there are players that are playing in that league who are, who were longtime NBA veterans, guys who are, absolute studs on the court. It's not like you're facing easy competition on a night to night basis.
Yeah, for me, I would say, these G League players are really talented. These guys are really good at basketball, and I see, five. I feel like I'm watching a game with five guys on either team can play in the NBA. At any given time, you could plug them in and they'd be fine. So I would say that would be the biggest misconception, that the G League, they're a B League. Obviously, it's a developmental league, and guys are trying to get better and whatnot. But guys can play here, and guys can really uh, guys can play in the NBA. If you're playing in the G League and doing well, you can play in the NBA for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Without a doubt. That's awesome. So I want to do transition. I do want to transition at this time to some fan questions that we have right here. And then after this, I will go ahead and open the floor to some questions that people have in the audience. So this first fan question is being in the G League. So we talked a little bit about your development, and you talked about how anyone that can play well in the G League can take that jump to the NBA. What do you think, as far as, the developments in your game, you talked about how you've grown defensively and, some of the things you've been able to do this season. What do you think you need to do as far as developing your game in order to be ready to be at that NBA level? What do you think are some of those things that you are pursuing on a day-to-day basis to be able to get to that point?
Get stronger. Number one, you got to, I got to be able to take the hits and bang with the big boys and big guys in the paint and whatnot. Uh, Become a more consistent shooter at this level. It's all about consistency at this level.
Yeah.
The more you can knock down threes and whatnot, the better the better off you're going to be, and just keep developing on the defensive end and keep working hard and just keep grinding. That's it. So knock down, stay consistent on the 3-point jump shot, get bigger in the weight room, and lock in on the defensive end. Those are the three things that I feel like are the most important for my development and getting to the NBA.
Right. And seeing the fact you shot 48% from three in your senior year in college, you got a pretty good foundation on your shot there, Ryan. I think it's a pretty good place to start.
Solid start. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So a question I have, who is your biggest inspiration on the Pistons and in the NBA currently? Like, who are some of the players that you look at right now and guys that really bring inspiration to you?
Um, Well, obviously, growing up, I grew up a Lakers fan, so my biggest inspiration, was Kobe Bryant, and just the way he put in the work always, and just putting in constant effort and always putting in the work. So I would say Kobe would be my biggest inspiration to just try to keep getting better and whatnot.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Another question we have, aside from possibly being called up to play in the NBA, what is the relationship like between NBA teams and G League teams from like a player standpoint? Like, do you think like as far as I saw Cade Cunningham came to a game recently. Like, what's the support like from the NBA guys?
Well, for us, I mean, we're practicing in the same facility as them, so we pretty
Right.
much see them on almost a day-to-day basis, and they're incredibly supportive and really nice guys. Wanting the best for us and wanting us to succeed, and it's been cool to have some of them come to games. And Isaiah Stewart came to a game, and they show out and they show up, and it's really cool to be able to being in the same workplace as them.
Yeah, by the way, real quick, I see your mom is also quite the fan section leader herself. What's some of the crowds been like at the Wayne State Fieldhouse?
Yeah, I mean they've been great. I know the Jewish community's been out a bunch, and the Detroit community's been out a lot. So it's just been really cool. Yeah, my mom they try to keep her at yeshiva. They try to offer her a scholarship just to lead the cheering.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that, man. Well, hey, I think at this time we are going to go ahead and start inviting some fans to come up and start asking some questions and start talking to Ryan here. So, with that, it looks like we have Eric as the first person who wants to be invited up and come to speak. So, yep, Eric, what's going on, man?
Hey,
What
how
do you
are you
got?
guys?
What's
Hey,
up? What's
Brian.
up? How you doing, Eric?
I'm a huge Cruise fan. I've been a season ticket holder since the very beginning, and I sit courtside and I'm at every single game. And I must say, Ryan, it's really fun to watch you interact and just play. The hustle, the enthusiasm you bring to the team, and then just the support that you give all the other players has been really fun to watch this year. And
I appreciate it.
I'm going to be there Friday, cheering you guys on. Hopefully you guys clinch a playoff spot so, we can, continue on this hot streak you guys have been on and continue that into even next season. You've already kind of answered the question I had about, the different things you're going to work on over the off season. So I'm just going to use this time to tell everybody, if you haven't been to a Cruise game, get down there, because this team is awesome. And I have more fun at Cruise games than I do at Pistons games, actually. And so if you guys haven't done it, make sure you get down there and cheer on Ryan and the rest of the team. There's, like he said, all these guys can play in the NBA, and anything you're thinking about G League being the B League is completely wrong, because it's exciting, it's fast, and players like Ryan are just awesome to watch.
We appreciate it, Eric, man. That's awesome that you come out and support, and I'll be looking for you on Friday, man.
Yeah, I'll be courtside. I'll be cheering you guys on.
That's what's up.
That's awesome, man. Eric, thank you so much for the question.
Yeah,
and I got to make it out to a Cruise game myself, man. I haven't been able to make it out yet since Wayne State. I'm thinking about driving down there on Friday.
Sean, come on, now we're waiting, man. We got seats for you.
Ryan, I'll give you a big hug after the game, man. It'll be fun. But let's go ahead and bring up the next people who want to speak. Do we have any other people who have their hands raised? It looks like we have Tommy N as one of the people that has his hand raised. Do we want to bring up Tommy?
Yep. I just sent him a request, so he should pop on whenever he's ready. I'll also queue up Andrew as well. And then I do actually have some questions myself.
Awesome.
Selfishly, if we have some time.
Oh, absolutely. Fire away.
Let's just give Tommy a chance to jump on here, and then Andrew as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll turn my camera back on. I'm actually here with my father now. Just wanting to hear about your experience, particularly as a Orthodox, an observant Orthodox Jew. We are Jews ourselves, so, and actually my girlfriend is her father's a rabbi, so I'm getting exposed to that, more Orthodox, lifestyle. And I guess they were curious, her family, I was chatting about how this was coming up, and, they were curious how you made it work, especially in your youth, when you're a young kid. I mean, you kind of got to do what your parents tell you to do. And typically, in Orthodoxy, it's kind of one way. Obviously, it sounds like your parents are really supportive. And I'm just curious to know a little bit more about that experience, because I'm learning right now.
No, that's a great question. I mean, my parents have been, like you said, have been incredibly supportive of this whole journey. My dad, when I was in high school, my dad and I used to stay at Motel 6s to go play AU games and walk to the gyms and whatnot. And we'd spend a lot of our Shabbats during the summer, on the road. And it was just really cool to have that experience. And, they've been really incredibly supportive, and, you find a routine, you find out how to do it, you figure, and you stick to that routine, and it's it becomes easy,
Friday night game. Yeah. So what about Friday night games? So
what I do on Friday night games is I walk to the gym and I'll play, and then I'll walk back, and I don't use any electronics during the whole Shabbat, and it's just a really cool. Shabbat in general is just a really cool meditative period. You get to rest, you get to relax the mind, you get to get away from, the normal world, and, really sit and reflect on your life and on whatever the week or the day or whatever, or just relax and rest. So it's just a really, really amazing day for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think these days, honestly, with technology, everyone could benefit from a day.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
So,
even if it's for a couple hours, just getting away from it, it's really important, I think. And I think it's even if you work practicing Shabbat, it's a really good way to cleanse the mind.
Yeah, awesome, man. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Let's
really
see
cool,
if
man.
Tommy wants to pop up. I mean, I could ask so many questions. I don't want to get into the theology of it, but work, right? So is basketball work, right?
Right. So
that's technically work, right? Then how do you play on a Friday night?
So that's the rabbinical question. That's what the rabbis are asking, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so pretty much we don't get paid by the game. we're not getting paid. Like regardless if I play that night or I don't, I'm not getting paid. It's like a fixed salary, so it's technically I'm not. Regardless if I play, I wouldn't get paid based on that game. So
Right. Interesting.
that's the that's the loophole, I guess.
Yeah. I just have one more question. By the way, anyone who's sort of tuning in, if you want to jump on, feel free. But you mentioned sort of when you were your goal was always to play for a Division I team, and then it came to a head. You had some offers, but then you had to make the decision because you wanted to be able to adhere to your sort of religious practices that you ended up going to yeshiva. So, what was that decision process like? Because you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
I guess just
it was a tough one. It was definitely a tough one, especially because my parents have invested all their time and money and into me trying to play professional. Sorry, not professional, Division I basketball. We spent all those AAU tournaments together and had trainers and whatnot, and they really sacrificed a lot to try to get me to play Division I basketball. And so when I said to them, hey, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't want to, sacrifice who I am, what I believe in, just to say I played Division I basketball. That wasn't worth it to me. And thankfully they were they were accepting of it, and they were supportive of it. At first they were like, "What are you talking about, man? We put in all this work and all that, but they got over it quick, and we're on board with yeshiva."
So your parents were actually expecting you to abandon some of the customs?
A little bit. I don't know. I guess so. They were. So I verbally committed to West Point. My junior year of high school, and I was going there, and it just felt weird about the Shabbat thing. They said it was gonna be fine and it was gonna work out, but we anonymously called the rabbi of West Point, and the guy, and he said, yeah, he pretty much said, if you're an Orthodox Jew, you're not going to be able to keep Shabbat kosher or anything up here. And it's just not likely that you're going to be able to do that anywhere at the Division I level. And so we decided I decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. And they understood, and, that was that process.
Yeah. Super interesting, man. We're actually Canadian, so we're not the biggest basketball people. But when I heard your story, I was just super curious about how it all fit together. So I'm stoked that the Pistons and the Motor City Cruise were able to accommodate, because it sounds like you bring great energy to the crowd, and Eric, sounds great.
Control the controllables, man.
Yeah. Andrew just turned his screen on. Let me give him a little spotlight here. Did you want to ask some questions?
Yeah. I got two questions. One kind of is following the path of the conversation, and one is kind of totally out there. But you're a pro player now. You've shattered a glass ceiling. You've shattered kind of some records and stuff that haven't existed. Do you have players reaching out to you asking about your experience? Players with aspirations to be, Jewish NBA players, Jewish professional basketball players. Do you see yourself as any sort of like mentor or anything like that?
Absolutely. I try to, shed a light on the Jewish community and be a role model for, kids all around that, it doesn't matter where you come from or what you believe in. As long as you put in the work, you can succeed in anything. And, I hope to, inspire kids to be proud of who they are, and, rock their yarmulke when they're playing basketball. And, hopefully, 10 years down the line, I see, when I kick back, or 15 years down the line, when I kick back on the TV and start watching, basketball games, I'm seeing some yarmulkes on the court. That's the goal. And I'm hoping that happens. And that would be the dream for me.
That's awesome. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The follow up to that, which I totally off base. I think Chris before he hopped off, he mentioned we had James Wiseman on probably about 2 weeks ago now. It was freshly after he got traded to the team, and one of the questions we asked him was, "Have you been able to explore Detroit?" And his answer was no. You know, he landed here. He's been put up in a hotel. It was right after his trade. But
Sure.
as you've kind of settled in and been able to, you know, be a part of the team now for almost a full season, have you explored Detroit? Do you have any thoughts on the people, on the environment, on the, you know, the entertainment scenes, anything like that? What's your
Yeah.
experience been like?
Absolutely. It's been really cool to be out in Detroit and kind of, you know, learn the city and, you know, interact with the people and whatnot. And, you know, the Jewish community's been really great and accepting, and they got a lot of good kosher restaurants out there in Southfield. It's just been really cool to be able to, you know, experience a new city and, you know, a lot of cool spots, a lot of cool places. And, it's just a really cool town. I like being a part of the Detroit community.
Awesome. I know we told James if you ever need any recommendations, we could draft him up a list or something. So if you're in the same boat, I'm sure we could all work together to get you something.
That's what's up.
100%. There's not a shortage of things to do in Detroit. There really isn't.
It's great. It's great.
You said you found some of your favorite kosher restaurants. What have been some of your go-to food spots in the city?
You know, if I'm going to like you know, I'm going on a nice restaurant, I'm going to Prime 10. No, sorry. Yeah, Prime 10. It's a nice kosher restaurant out in Southfield. They're incredible service, really good food and whatnot. But they also have a really good Chinese place that I like. So walk in, carry out. Those are my two go-to restaurants. And also Cravings has been awesome. They send a meal after every game and you know, allow me to, you know, eat after those games. They've been really helpful, and they have great food too. And you know, the grocery store, the Grove, they got all the good groceries, the kosher groceries that I need to you know, get through the season and whatnot. So overall, I like a lot of restaurants out here. It's just really cool to be out here and you know, learn the spots, and it's been cool.
That's awesome, man. Well, speaking of food, you guys have quite a big task on your plate on this Friday. Specifically, you guys are playing a, you know, win or go home game at home, the opportunity to go to the playoffs, to the most important game of your professional career so far. You know, we were talking before this started about like how these last couple of weeks, it's really felt like that playoff atmosphere and that playoff environment. What is that experience like? What has that experience been like? What is that like that jolt of consequences been like for you as a player, and how is the team feeling going into Friday?
We're feeling really good. We're feeling really good. We've kind of been in win or go home mode for a while now. We knew we needed to, you know, go on a couple winning streaks in order to make the playoffs. You know, I remember, you know, a conversation we were having in the locker room between a few of us players talking about how many losses we can have like early in the season. We started 1-7. We were like, how many more losses can we take? You know, we were like, before playoffs are out of the picture. And we all kind of set our number, or we can only lose this many more games, so we better start winning. And, you know, it was after that conversation, we kind of clicked, and we were clicking and playing really well together and playing winning basketball. And, you know, we started winning, and we've kind of been in win or go home mode for the past, you know, 14 games when it comes down to it, you know. So like that's what it's been like, and it's been a grind, and what we've done has been great, and we just got to cap it off on Friday night and you know, try to win that game and make the playoffs and do something that would be really incredible.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I know Wayne State Fieldhouse is going to be rocking that night. I know people are going to be there cheering you on. I know I personally, you know, am just going to be cheering you on throughout your career, man. This has been, you know, just a really cool experience. And, you know, I guess before, you know, we end up or before we end, you know, this experience, you know, is there anything that you would want to, you know, relay, you know, to Pistons fans or like to people in like the Jewish community? Like, what are some things that you would take away, you know, like from this season? What are some messages that you would, you know, give to people that are like in a similar situation of wanting to do something that's really, you know, that seems really unlikely or something that hasn't been done before? Like what would be some advice that you would give to people? in those
My
situations?
my advice to those people in those situations is, win every day. Win every day. When I was in high school or when I was, before that, or I didn't know where I was going to end up in this basketball journey. I still don't know where I'm going to end up in this basketball journey. But as long as I put in the work, as long as I, win every day and chalk up those wins, you're just going to win in life. So just keep putting in the work, keep putting in the time, and don't don't you know don't get discouraged of where you're at right now. Put in the work and put in the hours. You'll make it. And just keep working hard.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have at this point. I'm going to pass it over to Nick, and I just want to thank again the people at Rare Access and the Pistons organization for allowing me to have this opportunity. This was a really cool experience, and Ryan, so cool to meet you, man. This is a really cool opportunity. Thank you so much, dude.
Hey, I appreciate it, Sean. You were awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
See you at the Cruise game.
Oh, dude, I'll be there.
You better be there, man. Come on. I want to see that outfit too.
Hey, don't worry about it. I'll pull up with the drip for you.
Let's go. You dripped out.
Easy,
Let's go.
easy.
That's
Absolutely.
what's up.